Hi, in a video I posted on the 20th of July 2014, I showed you how you could add an outline to a stamped or digital image or a sheet of decoupage that you may have been having trouble scanning and cutting through the ScanNCut machine. Now, in that video I showed you how to use Craft Artist 2. Although I have that, it's only Windows compatible and it's installed on an old Windows laptop and I don't use Windows. So it's not a program that I've ever really bothered to use. When people on our Facebook forum started saying they were having problems scanning images, somebody mentioned they'd been playing around in the Serif Craft Artist 2 software. So I thought I'd have a go, and that's why I posted last week's video. Now, I realise that not everybody has Craft Artist 2. So, Silhouette Studio, which is a software that's available free on the internet for the Silhouette electronic cutters, the Cameo, etc., is both Mac and Windows compatible. So anybody can use it. It's free to download and install on your computer. And you can add outlines to images or digi-images or stamped images, and in this video I'm going to show you how to do it using that. But say you've stamped an image, you've tried to scan it and it won't scan through the computer. How do you get that stamped image onto your computer to then be able to use either Silhouette or Craft Artist to add the outline for you? Well, the ScanNCut is a scanner in its own right. So if we go into Scan, you've seen me do videos in the past on direct cut and scan to cut data, but over here you've got Scan to USB. So if you click on that, you then get other options. What you can do, you can stamp an image, scan it. By using this third option in the machine, it will scan it and save it as a JPEG, as it says here, which you can then, that goes onto your USB stick, and you can then put that USB stick into your computer and then open up Serif, or if you're using Craft Artist 2, and bring that JPEG image into either of those softwares and add the outline. So in this video, the first part of it, I'm going to show you how to do this scan to USB, and then the second part of the video will be showing how to bring the design into the software and add the outline. So what I'm going to do for this one, I've not got a stamped image, but I've got a piece of vellum, and as you can see the screen and you can see my hand through it, and all the colours on it are very muted. I'm going to scan this design here, which is in the top left hand corner of this A4 piece of paper. So I'm just going to put this on my mat and I'll be back in a minute. Okay, so I've loaded my piece of vellum onto my mat, and it's this design here that I want to scan, and it's at about 3 inches on the mat by about 2. And the reason I'm telling you that will be explained in a minute. So I'm just going to try and move you over to the screen. Okay, so we're going to use Scan to USB. And one thing I would say is make sure your mat is loaded before you choose this option. I've found if I load my mat first and then try to choose this option, it tells me it doesn't recognise the mat. So load your mat first and then choose Scan to USB. Then you'll see it tells you here that the scanning size is 12 by 12 and the resolution is 300 dpi. And then there's this little box with a wrench and a screwdriver. If you click on that, it tells you the same thing again. But if you click on this wrench again, this box with the wrench and the screwdriver again, under where it says 12 by 12, you then have other options to reduce the size of the scanning area. So if you were scanning a full 12 by 12 piece of card or pattern paper, that's fine. But if you're not, you can choose letter size or A4 or 8 by 8, or click on the down arrow. If you're scanning photographs, you can choose 5 by 7 or 4 by 6. But I'm going to choose custom because, and I'm going to say, okay, because the design that I showed you before on my vellum is up here on my mat. This would be like this normally. It's been left there from when I've been playing around with it. So I told you before that the little design I showed you was around about 3 inches by 2 inches in. So I know it's up here. So there's no point in scanning the whole mat. So I'm going to drag these handles in to about 6 by 6, which will more than adequately cover the area I want. I'm going to say OK, OK, and start. And it's going to start scanning my vellum that's on my mat. And I'll be back in a minute. Okay, that scanned very quickly because I was only scanning that small area. It tells me here it's saved it to the USB and it's given it image 3 JPEG. So all I need to do now is say OK. I can unload my mat, and then if I go back to the home button and go to pattern and save data and choose my USB, it's put a folder here called IMG image, and inside it is my JPEG. It's just scanned. So I'm going to take this out of the machine, I'm going to load it into my Mac, and then we're going to carry on with the video in which I'm going to show you how to add outlines using Silhouette Studio. Okay, so I'm back on my computer now, and the software that I'm going to use today, as I said earlier in the video, is free. It's available for both Mac and Windows, and it's available from Silhouette. So it's www.silhouetteamerica.com. I will put a link directly to the downloads page in the comment box below. But if you come to it this way, basically you're on the home page, you scroll to the bottom, you choose Silhouette Studio, and then over here you choose Silhouette Studio, and it brings you to the download page. And as I said, there's a Mac version and a Windows version, and you can choose which one. I'm working on a Mac at the moment, but I have also got it installed on an old Windows laptop. There is a new version out now, version 3. I'm still using the previous version, but the icons along the top are still the same. You might not have this little home button, but all the others are the same. So you should be able to follow this video. Now, to save some time, I've plugged my USB stick into my computer, and I've dragged off the vellum. In fact, I copied it, so that's why it's called image 1 here, and it was image 3 in the machine. And I've put it onto my desktop, and then I've got 2 other designs that I'm going to show you in a few minutes. So with a blank page open, what I'm going to do, not many of us have access to a 12 by 12 or A3 printer. Most of us use a regular home type printer that works off A4 paper. So I'm just going to change the size of my virtual mat here to match what I'm printing on. So I'm going to go to page setup, and I'm choosing A4, and I'm going to choose landscape and say OK. As I say, in the new version, you have a shortcut icon along here somewhere to page setup, and then you choose from here. So I've got my A4 paper now. I'm going to drag this vellum onto the page, and that's the 6 by 6 area that it scanned for me through the ScanNCut machine. And it's this little design here that I want to put an outline on. As I said, this could be a stamped image. I was just using a piece of vellum because, to be honest, I didn't have a stamped image handy. So what we're going to do now is select it, and then we're going to come over here to this square that has like a blue section in the middle, which is, if you hover over it, it's the open trace window. We're going to click on that. We're going to choose the top icon, and it says select trace area. So we're going to drag an imaginary box just around the section that I want to scan and let go, and you'll see it's yellow. And then what you need to do is you need to turn off the high pass filter, and then I've not really played around with these other 2 sliders much, because this software is fairly new to me again, but this threshold slider here, you want to slide it until this yellow section becomes more filled in, because that's what's going to create the outline for us. So I'm going to slide it over. So as you can see, it was on 45 and I've only had to go to 52 to colour it in. If I take it up more, you'll see what happens. So I'm going to take it back down to 52, because 52 on this particular design looked a pretty good, as if it would give me a pretty good outline. And then what I'm going to do is say trace outer edge. So this second icon, I'm going to click on that. Now, I don't know if you can see this, I'll try and zoom in, but it has put a red line all around this design. So I'll just zoom back out again. And if I click and drag this away, you'll see it's given me my trace line. So if that was my stamped image, it would have put that trace line around for me. But because we can't use silhouette files in our ScanNCut, we have to print them. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to select this, and then I'm going to come over here to this icon with the coloured lines, which is the line colour window. And then what you would do is you would choose a colour from the palette here based on the nearest colour of your design. Now this design was actually kind of a brownie colour, so I'm going to choose that. And then the next icon along, which is lines again, but kind of broken lines and solid lines, I'm going to click on that. I'm going to make sure I've got the top one selected, which is a solid line. And then in here, I'm just going to click the up arrow and I'm going to take it to about 0.75. And if you can see, the lines got thicker on the screen. Then I'm going to bring this back over and line it back up. And then I'm going to select the image and I'm going to send it backwards. I prefer to have my line drawing on top and my image underneath. And then if I zoom in, you can see if it's lined up. I'm going to select it and I'm just going to move the arrows on my keyboard just to line it up so it lines up perfectly. Okay, then zoom back out. Now, what you need to do now while you're still in this line style window is make sure at the bottom here you've got a tick in print lines of selected shape. You would then come over here, click print, choose your printer and however you want to print it and click print. And then from that printout, you would then put that back through your ScanNCut machine. And you could choose direct cut or scan to cut data, whichever one you want. And when you scan it, it will pick up all these lines that you've just drawn in and then be able to cut that design out for you. So that's the first one. I'm going to open a new blank page. I'm going to change the size again to A4 landscape. And I'm going to bring in another design that I was having trouble scanning. And that's this. And this is a digital image. This is an image that I bought from Etsy, I think, from memory. And I printed this directly from my computer and tried to scan it. And I don't know if you can see, but just here is a broken line and here is a broken line and it wouldn't scan properly. So I'm going to do exactly the same. I'm going to leave it at the size it is for now. I'm going to go back over here to this icon with the blue square. I'm going to click select trace area. I'm going to drag an imaginary box just around the design I want and let go. You can see we've got yellow lines, but again, they're not perfect. We're going to come over here, turn off high pass filter, and then we're going to up the threshold again until I get more of a solid line around this design that I know will pick up. Now on this one, I could probably get away with 92%, but I'm just going to take it up and then I'm going to say again, trace outer edge. And again, if I click on the design and move it, you'll see it's traced it perfectly. I'm going to select it. I'm going to come back over here to this colour line and I'm going to choose black because this already has a black line around it, although in places it's broken. I'm going to click on the icon next to it. The line style's automatically selected and I'm going to up the line to 0.75, and if you watch the screen you'll see the line thickens. Okay, and then I'm going to bring this back over here, set it back on the design, select it and click send to back, and then hopefully I've just got my line style on top. And again, I'm just going to use my arrows just to position it so it's perfect. Again, you need to select print selected lines and then send this to your printer and print it. I'm going to open another design. So I've got 3 down here at the moment now. Going to go back to File, Page Setup, A4 Landscape, and this time I'm going to drag in a sheet of decoupage that I got off the internet. And as you can see, this is coming quite large, so I'm just going to manoeuvre it so I can get a drag handle and drag it down and then position it on my page so it fits on my A4 page. Okay, and this was a free sheet I found off the internet, and this is an image. I'm going to do exactly the same thing. I want to just outline some of these decoupage pieces. So I'm going to come back over here. Oh, before I do anything on this one, sorry, I'm going to select it again. I want to get rid of these words. So I'm going to come over here to the eraser and I'm just going to erase by left clicking and dragging these words because I don't want those in my design and I don't want these top little 3 ones. Okay, then come over here and click the select icon again to deselect, and then I've just got those on my page. Back over here to the trace window, trace area to select trace area, drag an imaginary box just around the section I want to trace, turn off the high pass filter and again move the threshold until I get the outlines of these designs. That's a little bit too far and that's about right, we're on 98%. And then I'm going to click trace outer edge. And again, if I zoom in, you can see they've got a red line around them. Just going to zoom back out. I'm going to drag this out of the way and just select the outlines. Come back up here. I'm going to put black round this time just so you can see it on the video. You could choose any colour here that would best fit with what you want. Maybe something neutral, but again, that might not pick up on the scan. So you just have to play around. But if you've got blue images, then I would choose a blue line. That's all I'm trying to say. So by default, it puts red. So I've got my outline selected. I'm going to choose black. You can see they've all turned black. I'm going to come to the next icon. And again, I'm going to take this up to 0.75. Now again, you may get away with scanning this at 0.50 or 0.25, or you may have to go slightly thicker. But 0.75 seems to have worked for me. So you can see it's outlined them. Going to drag the designs back in, select them, right click and send them to the back. And then again, make sure you've got print lines selected and send it to print. You can save these designs if you want. So if you wanted to save this file for future use with the lines already in, you can come up here to the little icon here, or you go File, Save As, and then you choose where you want to save it. I'm going to put it on my desktop just so I can find it, but I have made a file called My Silhouette Studio and I put them all in there. Give it a name, I'm just going to call it Flowers for now for this, and click OK. And then it will appear, here it is, on my desktop as a studio file called Flowers. Okay, so I'm going to print these last two, this one and this one, and show you. I'm not going to bother with this one for now. And then I'll come back and I'll show you them printed out, and then I'll cut them. Okay, so I'm not sure how well you're going to be able to see this, but I've printed this out, and there she is on my A4 piece of paper. And here is the decoupage, and you can see the black outline quite clearly on the sheet. And I did do it again, and I added in the little ones, although I don't really need them, but I was just showing you for the video how you can remove sections. So now I'm going to put these into my ScanNCut again, and hopefully this time it will recognise the outlines. Okay, so to save some time, I only printed both of these designs on normal copy paper. So I've trimmed off a section of the paper, so I've just got the decoupage, and I've trimmed down the girl just so I've got a small section so that I can scan them all in one go to save time on the video. So I've loaded my mat. I'm on my low tack mat. Because I'm only cutting paper, I'm going to take my blade down to 1, and while I remember, I'm going to go in the settings and I'm going to alter the pressure down to 1, and then I'm going to say scan, and then try and move this back round so you can see it. I'm going to say direct scan and go. I'm just going to wait for it to recognise, because there's obviously quite a few bits and pieces on this mat, and we'll see what we get. And I'm going to say OK, and then as you can see, it's put all the lines in. I'm going to drag the drag handles in just to isolate the area a bit, because I'm using my normal mat. There's a little mark on the screen here, which is just a gap in the mat where it's a little bit dirty, but I don't know whether it will pick that up or not, but it's picked all the lines up. And when I tried to scan this design originally, when I printed it out from the digital image from where I bought it, it wouldn't scan because of the broken lines. So I'm going to say OK, and then hopefully it will still pick up. There's all the lines. And I'm going to say cut, and I'm going to cut, and I'll be back in a few minutes. That's finished cutting now. I'm going to say OK. Just going to push my machine back, and you can see it all there, and I'm going to unload the mat and see what we've got. As I said, this is only copy paper, so, you know, it may not have cut that great, and I've just got a little catch on one corner there, but we'll see. I may not have had my settings right. I had 1, I thought 1 and pressure 1 would be enough, but maybe not. Oh yeah, it is. If you can see, I'm just trying to get them. I've got a little catch on 1 here. So that's 1 all cut out. I'll show you in a minute, and I'll just get the, I don't know if you can see me here, just take this one away. Tiny little designs, you tend to sometimes rip them when you're getting them off the mat. I've just turned my mat around because I don't think you can see properly what I was doing, and I was struggling with the angle of the camera. But basically, there's the girl all cut out. When I was in Silhouette Studio, I only used outline, and that's why it's cut round the outline. So I've got a landlocked area here in the middle. But if I'd used the top icon in Silhouette Studio, it would have taken this landlocked area out as well. But that was just my fault. I forgot to do it on the video. So that's that one. And then here are all the decoupage pieces that obviously would layer up. All different sections of decoupage. Try and get these off my mat. Getting them off the mat is the worst bit. Now on these you can still see I've got a bit of a black line around them, but that's because I put black on to show you for the video. If I'd have chosen a slightly different colour, this probably would have blended in better. But even down to, can't even get them, these tiny little flowers that it's cut out. If I get time, I may try and put all this together to show you. Okay, there it is, all stuck together. So a fairly low resolution, free piece of decoupage from the internet that wouldn't scan properly through the ScanNCut. Added a line in Silhouette Studio, scanned it back through the machine and cut it out. I hope you found that helpful. Please like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.